Perhaps none of you have been able to hear me until now because the speaker wasn't turned on. But hello there now. It's always good to hear from you all. We're just doing a quick refresh at the start of the lesson looking at the Doomsday Book. So, let's see what you remember from last week. You ready? See what you remember from last week's lesson. Apologies for the lack of sound quality. Hopefully we should be working now. See what you remember. Let's see, we've got some winners. First and second, who's going to come third? We've got a third who's going to come fourth. We're just logging in Mrs. Parker and Miss Jordan's class. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Miss Jordan's class. I'm Mrs. Parker. Right. That quiz hopefully gives us enough time to get everyone set up. Well done, the case. Crashes. Let's see how well we did last time. So, when did King William order the Doomsday Book? Oh, a lot of people put 1066, but the Doomsday Book came later, 1085. What was a villain? Most people remembering this. Well done. Villain, a villager. Fantastic memories. What language was it written in? Latin. Nearly everyone got that one right. Fantastic. TRE, a tricky one. TRE, in the time of King Edward. Timos. Oh, Pathing from next door. We don't have some complaints, don't we, from next door? We let them join in the lessons. We don't have to let them teach. Gordon Bennett. Timus Regius Edwardus. Colours of the ink used was red and black. Not many people getting that one right. Parchment, most people remember sheepskin. Value of a Doomsday Book, most people think it was £1 million. It was only 73,000. Worth a lot more in today's money. Most people getting quills. Ooh, most people getting that question about waste right as well. That it was destroyed land. And most people forgetting who the king was after Edward Confessor. It was Howard Godwinson. Howard Godwin. We're going to look at him today in today's lesson. Well remembered from last week, pretty much. Today, we're going to talk all about this field, which isn't loading. Ah, there we are. This is a field. It's got grass in it. It's on a slight slope, but some bits are taller than. That's not going to be very interesting, is it?
No.
We're going to talk about what happened on this field a long time ago. Now we can see there's an abbey there, a religious building. But we're going to look back to the year 1066. Possibly the most recognisable date in our history. Is it important, Canaan?
Was there a battle?
Well, let's find out, eh? So, and I think it's going to help us is this, Mai Tai. Well, not exactly Mai Tai. Mai Tai is based on this. It's the Bayeux Tapestry. Bayeux is a town in Normandy. It gives us a bit of a clue of who wanted it built. It was built by the Normans from France. I don't know why they would want a tapestry about England. It's actually embroidered in England. Not technically a tapestry. Tapestry isn't embroidered. But, don't worry, it's got its name. It's 70 metres long. So you know how long you have to keep away to be 2 metres apart?
Oh, yeah.
This is 70 metres long. One piece of tapestry, it's been embroidered. Now, remember the stitching you've done in years 4 and 5?
Yeah,
Making your Roman bullers, making dragons? Just imagine the stitching you'd have to do to make a 70-metre long tapestry. And it shows the history of the Battle of Hastings, which happened on that field we've just looked at. It was commissioned, that means the person who wanted it made was the Bishop of Normandy, who was the stepbrother of William the Conqueror. And the most remarkable thing is it's 70 metres long, and it's still pretty much 70 metres long today. It survived. It still exists. It's over 1,000 years nearly since that tapestry was made. I cannot think of anything else. I've got some curtains in my loft, but they're not going to last 1,000 years. I've got some paintings I did when I was younger. They're not going to last 1,000 years. This document has been kept for 1,000 years. What might that suggest about it? Why have we kept it for 1,000 years? Caden?
It might be important.
Yeah, it's a significant, important document. It was important to the Normans. It was important to everyone who made it. Apologies if there's a bit of not noise in the background. It's having a few chopping and changes in our classroom today, it seems. So, a bit of a history lesson. Starts with this block. Eventually loading up on our screens. We seem to be having all sorts of technical issues today, it seems, with our speed. Here he is. Edward the Confessor. Nice bloke, called Edward. Called Confessor because they're meant to be a very religious, pious man. Fortunately, he's not in our story for long because he's dead. He was the king of what was mostly England. It wasn't quite England as we know it. So when the king dies, there needs to be a new king. And the person they made king was this bloke here. Howard Godwin. This is the extract in the Bayeux Tapestry of him being his coronation when he was made king. And we know that because in Latin we've got his name, Howard Godwin. So far so good, right? We had a king, king's dead, we've got a new king. Not quite as simple as that. You see, other people wanted to be king as well. And this brings us into our year 6 topic of, and in a second I need a dum 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 dum. Are you ready? The Vikings.
Dun dun dun.
The Vikings thought they would have one last go at invading Britain. The Vikings were very, very popular, particularly in the north. They'd been around for quite a few years by this point. First Viking invasion, 793 AD. It's now 1066. They kind of know this land. So, the King of Norway, Howard Hardrada, comes with all his ships and he invades York. York is very, very, very quickly taken over by the Vikings. And you know what he goes and does? He speaks to the next village over, the next county over. So he's in Yorkshire. He's invaded Yorkshire. He goes and talks to Northumbria and goes, Northumbria, you don't like Yorkshire, do you? Why didn't you join us? You know what they said to him?
No.
Said yes! So Northumbria is now allied with the King of Norway. Howard is in South England. Not particularly happy, I think it's fair to be said. That part of his country is being invaded. But in his greatest moment, he marches with his entire army 300 kilometres on foot and horseback in 4 days. It takes him just 4 days to get the entire army from the south of England right up to York. The Vikings weren't expecting him. They weren't ready. They had a battle just about here. This is York. Just next to York, they had a battle in North England, the Battle of Stamford Bridge. And Howard absolutely battered the Vikings. Absolutely took them by surprise, won a massive victory. But finally defeated the Vikings. The Anglo-Saxons had defeated the Vikings, they were not coming back. And the threat to King Howard disappeared. Except, wasn't quite that easy. See, on the 21st of September, 1066, the Vikings invaded. Howard marched up to the north of the country. He was waiting down the southern coast in case the French invaded. Which is what mainly we spent most of our time doing for about 1,000 years, waiting to see if the French would invade. So 4 days later, we have a Battle of Stamford Bridge. Then 3 days later, we've got the Normans invade. William the Conqueror, as we call him now, but William the First. Spoiler alert, William wins, that's why we call him the Conqueror. He invades, and this is shown in the Bayeux Tapestry of his ships landing on the south coast of England. So you're Howard. What are you thinking? You have just won a massive, huge victory against the Vikings. And now the French have come asking for a bit of fighting. Are you feeling confident? And why? You beat the Vikings. How hard can the French be? We're not Vikings ever. Are you feeling tired? Exhausted? Are you feeling more than one thing? I'm going to ask you to work in groups. I'm going to ask you to use the A tool to tell me what Howard might be feeling and why. There'll be some positive emotions there and there'll be some negative emotions there as well. Make sure you can tell me what he's feeling and why. I'm going to put you into different groups. Remember, you are working as a team. I know who's in that team, so make sure you're not spoiling other people's work. Be respectful and kind, and if someone else has put the same point as you, what can you write which is different? Can you come up with different reasons? Can you come up with different emotions? You're Howard. You've just defeated the Vikings, and now the Normans invaded. How are you feeling and why? Let's have you in some groups. Let's have you in groups of... very exceptionally slow with our computer today. Perhaps it's too frightened of a French. Have you in teams of 9. Let's see who you've been putting a team with. Okay. Mr. Ormonroyd's class, you're in team 9. So Mr. Ormonroyd, you can use the A tool or you can use your pen to write some ideas down on that second side of the sheet. Mrs. Parkin's class, I can't see where they... Mrs. Parkin's class, you're in team 3. You're with George, Holly, Harry Van, Lily, and I think it's on. So you're joining Mrs. Parkin. Can you get your ideas down? Off you go. Around your picture, what might he be thinking? a sound test for Mrs. Wilde. Mrs. Wilde, can you hear us okay? This is a sound test for Mrs. Wilde. Okay. Apologies if you're having sound problems at home. I had so many lessons, I think I may have used the battery up on the old microphone. See if that's any better, any clearer. Let's see what ideas we've got so far. Okay, let's see how Team 1 are getting on. Up for another round of fighting it, exhausted, tired, confused, confident because the Vikings are probably more powerful than the French. Yeah, I'll be thinking that. We've been fighting with Vikings for an awful long time. Exhausted at fighting, stressed, great work, Team 1. Let's see how we're getting on with team number 2. Sienna's team, Williams' team. Angry because he's defeated another army, yeah. I'd be probably angry. I wouldn't want to be around King Howard that day. Imagine being the poor messenger who's told him. He could be feeling tired because he's been in a big fight, happy for defeating them, confident because of his other victories, yeah. He's had one victory. He's probably feeling a bit invincible. Great work from Team 3. Annoyed because he's just defeated someone else and now someone else has invaded. Might be thinking, why do the French want to battle with us? Confident. Could be feeling very, very angry. Had a battle, want another one. Feeling victory. Hey! Yes, thinking that it's time for another victory. Look at Team 4's work. What next? Confused perhaps. Feeling greedy for another win. What a good idea that is. Greedy for another win. Confident because he's already taken out the Vikings. Excellent. Let's look at Team 5's work. Great ideas today. Maybe doesn't want to fight. Tired. What should he do? Stressed. Yeah, it's probably a very stressful time. It's a very stressful time to be alive, is this? I think it's fair to be saying. Look at Team 6. Right, starting war again. Thinking I want fight to begin. Yeah, if you're a king, fighting's kind of what you're good at. For diplomacy stuff, for being nice to people, that's a little bit boring. But going around sticking your sword in someone's guts, that's pretty exciting. It's a nice day. Let's look at Team 7, some great ideas here. Preparing for more battles, preparing for his Amy. Tired of battling, worried, feeling proud of winning a battle, anxious there might be more Vikings to attack. Yeah, perhaps there's some more Vikings are going to come as well. He might be doing this for the rest of his days. Let's look at Team 8. Yep, some similar ideas. Angry, stressed, courageous, possibly. Yeah, I like that idea. Let's look at Team 9. Mind blown after a massive victory. Surprised that another person came to his battle as well. Frustrated. Lots of ideas there. Anyway, whatever's happened, the French have invaded. And we decided, well, we better do something about this. Britain came. So, Howard had to march his army down again. It took a little bit longer to get down. It's not actually downhill. I know it sounds downhill, but it isn't. And he had to stop at London for a bit of a rest and to try and get some more men. He had to recover the men he'd lost. Not all of his men made it down in time, because Howard was in a bit of a rush, so if he was on horseback, he got down a lot faster than if he was walking. Not all of Howard's men, particularly the poorer men, the archers, made it down in time. They came all the way down to the south of England, to a place called, well, it's the Battle of Hastings. So where do you think it took place? Nope. Hastings is the big town. It took place in a battle in a place called Battle, which you've got to admit is a good name. If you're going to have a battle somewhere, you might as well have it in a place called Battle. So they didn't actually fight in Hastings, they fight in Caldbeck Hill, which is in Battle, a small settlement, just on the English coast. It took them a couple of weeks to get down. The Normans had been there for some time. So they'd got all their soldiers round, they'd got everything prepared, they'd taken over some of the local land, they had a nice, fresh, ready army. Howard didn't. He was quite exhausted at this point, but his men knew the land better. And a couple of days before the Battle of Hastings, on the 13th, they both saw each other and prepared for battle. The battle took place on the 14th of October. Just a few days ago, he was a hero defeating the Vikings. Now here he is. This is the night before depicted in the Bayeux Tapestry. This is William speaking to his soldiers, rallying them on. This is, who would this be, speaking to his soldiers? Go on, Sam? Howard speaking to his soldiers. William had many of his dukes along with him. We learnt about some of those last week because they got land in the Doomsday Book. Howard was fighting with his best soldiers, and he was also fighting with his two brothers. It's nice of him to come along, family helping out. Why do you think his two brothers would want Howard to win the battle? What do you think they might get out of it? If you're the brother of a king, what could happen? Go on, Emily?
Get more.
You get more status, more wealth. What happened if Howard was to become king and stay as king, and then he was to die in like a couple of years?
His brothers could become king.
His brothers could become king. They've got a bit of a vested interest in supporting him, isn't they? If William becomes king, they've got no chance, and they're probably going to be anyway. 9 o'clock. There was this thunderous sound of horns blowing. We learnt about hunting horns yesterday in our music lesson, didn't we? Thunderous sound of hunting horns blowing, and the battle started. Howard was on a hill, and all he had to do was to stop the Normans getting to the top of a hill, and he would win. William had lots of cavalry. All he had to do was get to the top of a hill and send his soldiers in. Dead easy, right? Well, problem was, it was dead easy for both teams to win. Let's take a look at some of the weapons they had. Oh, is that on the next slide? Yeah. Let's draw a picture on this slide then.
It's come up now.
Yeah. So, this is a bit of an impression of where we were. See if this is going to work. The English were on top of a ridge.
It's not on pen, so.
Yeah, it was on pen. It seems to be having one of those days today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
See the joy of some of this software. It doesn't always work the way I'd want it to do. But sometime, and today's one of those days.
Yeah.
Good job, these pens are magnetic, aren't they? But don't talk. And it's crashed. The Normans. Oh. Have a bit of good old-fashioned technology. Here's one I prepared earlier. The Normans were at the bottom of a ridge. Ridge was a bit of a hill, not quite as steep as that. And the English were up here with their swords and shields. Or, well, my drawing, carrying a book. They had a line of people all across that ridge, stretching for nearly half a mile, all with the shields. It was very difficult for the Normans to get through that. What we didn't have is any archers, because they left them all behind. They didn't have any good horses, they couldn't get down in time. The Normans were at the bottom, and they had to get up to the top. Let's take a look at the weapons they had. Hopefully my board's loaded now. I'd like to thank the good people at Mr. Melia's lesson for breaking my board. I'm blaming Mr. Melia. I know it's not his fault, but I'm still blaming him. He's not here to stop me, is he? Well, it's even better to blame him. Right, I think we're working again. I think we're on board. Apologies for the delay there. Let's take a look at some of the weapons which were used. So I've taken some pictures from the Doomsday Book, and I want you to try and guess what these weapons are, and you can click on the arrow to see what you're right. If you're in a classroom which you can't click on the arrow, I'll go through them in a second, see if you can talk to the teacher you're in, can you guess what they are? Right, let's find out what weapons were used in the Norman conquest. Some of these weapons were used by the English, some of the weapons were used by the Normans. And William's team are the Normans. Howard's team, King Howard's team, as it is at this stage, are the English. It's a brilliant document, is the Bayeux Tapestry, because shows in extraordinary detail what was used. We don't have another document from this time period which shows us what was happening. There's no cameras. It was very hard to get a painting. The painting I showed you earlier of the Battle of Stamford Bridge, that was a painting someone had done much later. Whilst you're exploring that on your own computers, I'm going to explore it for everyone on here. I'm going to start with our huge axe at the top. You can see it's been held in two hands on here, but you can see this bloke is only holding his in one hand. It's a battle axe, sometimes called a Danish axe, because it was originally Viking. Don't forget the Vikings have been around in our country for years. We nicked the best stuff, only way we could defeat them. It's a brilliant axe, and he's the personal guard of King Howard. The housecarls carried these axes, and they were ferocious. You used two hands and used all your weight. You could slice someone's head clean off. Oh, if someone's coming at you at horse, I'm afraid it would slice the horse's head off clean as well. But if you're wanting two hands, you can't hold your shield. So they were designed. You could also use them for slicing people. Sorry, I'm not going to slice you completely. I've got one down here, Emily. Let me show you. You could slice away at people and still hold your shield. Very efficient weapon. Over here, we had what the Normans had an awful lot of, bows. The Normans had 1,000 archers, and they could fire over the shield wall, all the shields the English had made at the top of the hill. They were very agile, they could weave in and out, could get to places quick, they were very, very manoeuvrable. Now, all the archers shown, apart from one in the Bayeux Tapestry, are Norman. They had so many more archers than the British. They also had crossbowmen. Crossbows were far more powerful and could pierce through the shields and even the armour of some of the soldiers. Over here, we have the lances. They're not all called lance. I don't know what they were called. Lances are the weapons we had, a little bit like a spear. And the Norman knights carried these. They could throw them, and they did throw them at times, but would usually keep hold of them. Once you've thrown it, you can't use it again. If you've got some shields, you could use your spear to get in between the shields. Or you could use, if anyone was fleeing from you on your horse, you could give them a nice little stab. And no, you wouldn't. You're a nice person. There was also shields, that should say. The Norman shields were very clever. They had a really long shield in a bit of a kite formation, a bit like a long kite, but a lot more secure. You could hold it in your hand, but also if you were travelling on a horse, if you had a strap, so you could try it around your strap or your shoulder, so you could still use your hands and not have to carry your shield. The English used more rounder shields, but they had a boss, a big metal thing. You may remember when we did the Romans had a boss, and you could use that to barge anyone out of the way, and also cause a fair bit of damage. We had knights, and let's do the swords first. Swords are dead easy. They're very simple swords. You didn't use them to really do anything complicated. You didn't have any sword fighting like this. You just used to slash away at people and hope you hit them. Some swords were passed down from family to family, with some Viking swords used at the Battle of Hastings. We know that much. I think one sword was called knee pull or something like that. I don't know why it was called that. You'll find more on the English Heritage website about how the Viking swords were used. Knights were a very interesting one. Knights, we all think of knights, but the English had no idea until the Normans came across what a knight was. We had horses, but the horses were just used for carrying things. You didn't fight on a horse, that was just strange. You fought on your foot. The Normans had horses, and they trained the horse riders from a young age to be good on a horse, and they trained the horses from a young age to be excellent in battle. They were like the tanks of today. Brilliant, never before seen, and the knights probably won William the battle. The last one here are the maces. Again, not people called macy. Maces, big cheap club, used for hitting people. Anyone could own a mace. All you need is a big cheap club, maybe put some nails in it. So both sides had clubs. It was usually the poorer soldiers who would be given back. They probably couldn't afford a sword, they certainly couldn't afford a battle axe, and they almost certainly couldn't afford to have a horse. Lots of different weapons used we can find in the Bayeux Tapestry. Except the battle itself, like I said, was very strange. Because you had at the top of the slope, all the English, and you had the Normans. I'm not going to draw a French flag because they didn't actually use that flag. I'll draw William, there he is, at the bottom. And the Normans had all this land, a load of land. They weren't penned in. They could run around, charge at the English wherever they wanted. But the English had all the shields. So until they could get past the shields, they didn't have a chance. Most battles at this point were done in an hour. This battle was going on all day. People missing the tea and all sorts. They'd missed afternoon playtime. They'd missed topic tags. It was a nightmare. In fact, William Potier, apologies for the pronunciation there, he was a Norman historian, said it was a strange kind of battle. He didn't say it in English, obviously said it in French. It was a strange kind of battle. One side attacking with all mobility, could go over one. The other side withstanding was all rooted to the soil. The phrase you might use nowadays, the unmovable force meeting the impenetrable object. No, doesn't make any sense. Except it started to go a little bit wrong round about tea time. You see, when the Normans attacked, they went up the hill. I'll take one of his legs. And they eventually, they were getting nowhere, so they started retreating. The English went, hang on a minute, we can finish this. And the English, I'll take a bit of a flag, came down the hill after them. Now, at this point, the French started retreating more and more, and William took off his helmet. And we can see, look, we're still all right. I'm not dead. And if I'm alive, then we'll win. Because God's on our side. The English thought God was on their side as well. He doesn't often take sides. But he said in French, look at me, I live, and with God's help I shall conquer. And as the English were running down the hill, away from their shielded position, the French turned around and attacked them. And for the first time, the French started to win bits of the day. So when the French were running away, they changed their minds and they started attacking them. So that strategy worked. So, although they were retreating, when we decided to stop retreating, we started to win the battle. So you're William. You've just seen this strategy work. The English are back at the top of the hill again. You're at the bottom. How are you going to win this battle? Do you have any plans? What might William be thinking to win this battle? What's your plan? What would you do if you was William? When you ran away, for real, the English came after you. But when you got your troops together again, you could defeat the English because they weren't at the top of the hill anymore. So what are you going to do now? What would you do if you were William to win this battle? So, those who are not used to this, you can shout your answer out. Let's see what we can do. So, retreat makes shield, someone said. Interesting idea there from somebody. Retreat, Ashton saying retreat. What, actually retreat? All the way back? Really retreat? Go home back to Normandy? Fight at the bottom of the hill? How are you going to get the soldiers down at the bottom of the hill? What are you going to do? Run back up, build better weapons, throw swords at them? You've lost your sword then. They weren't brilliant swords, but surrender, Hollywood surrender. And that's right, the Normans did surrender, and no, the Normans didn't surrender. It's an interesting idea. It's interesting. Amelie has said run away and go behind when they didn't know, so maybe pretend to run away. Attack as one big unit, retreat and make shields, use your crossbows in the trees. Keep fighting with God's help. Oh, this is an interesting one from Sophie. Pretend to run. Why might they pretend to run? Jesse's going to stop the fight and be friends. That would be lovely, Jesse, but that's not quite how William was thinking. He kind of wanted to be king. Okay. Build a chariot. Chariots weren't really used at this point. They've kind of been lost after the Roman period. Oliver's getting quite bloodthirsty there. He might think surrender and then run away. Design better weapons. Some interesting ideas there. I think the closest was Amelie. They just see what happened when they actually ran away. The English followed them, and then when they turned around, they defeated them. So William came up with a cunning plan. He got his knights to go up the hill and pretend to run away again. What do you think the English did?
Just
Followed them. What do you think the French did then?
pushed after them.
Turned around, chopped them up into tiny pieces. And they did this again and again and again. They would go up the hill and they would go, "Oh no, we're defeated, let's run away, run away." And the English would go, "We've defeated them," and chase after them. And the French would go, turn around and chop them to tiny pieces. And the English would go, "It's all right, we're at the top of the hill again, we're safe, they've still not defeated us." And the French would climb up the hill and they would go, "Oh no, we can't win," and run away again. And the English would follow them. And they did it again and again and again. Now, that's a great question. How dumb can you be? Well, they weren't. Don't forget, this was a huge battlefield. So the French would do it in one part, and then we'd do it in another part. And it was so difficult, you couldn't ring someone up on the telephone to say, "Hang on, just stay where you are, you're going to be fine." There were so many people there, thousands of people, 6,000 on both sides. They slowly did this, and they slowly managed to break through the lines until eventually, Harold Rex Infectus Est. Here, Harold is killed. When Harold died, and his brothers had died shortly before, England was leaderless, and the French quickly won the battle. Now you can see an arrow there. It looks to be sticking out of his eye. And the common idea is Harold was hitting the arrow with an eye, and except maybe he wasn't. Some other evidence shows he was probably charged with a horse. Except maybe he wasn't. We don't know. No one's got who remembered it knows how Harold dies. We just know he does die. His body is found under quite a lot of other British bodies, so it was a little bit gruesome. But where Harold died, the Normans built a big church to say, "Look, we've killed Howard. Well done, God. Here's our church." God's on our side, see?
Yeah.
And they made this Bayeux Tapestry. Now don't forget, the Bayeux Tapestry was made by the Normans. It was actually woven by English, but they were kind of Norman by then. Do you think they would say how great Howard was? No. They wanted to tell their own story. And it's an interesting document, because in one way, it tells us how great things were. In another way, it tells us what the Normans wanted to tell us. Because the Normans wanted to tell a story that they should have been the kings all the time, and that this was destiny, this is what should have happened. It's a really important document. It's the most accurate ever document we have of a battle of this period. But it doesn't mean that the Normans didn't do things on purpose. Take, for example, this document here. This is right at the start of the Bayeux Tapestry. And this shows Harold coming over to meet the Duke of Normandy, as it was then, William. This is before he invaded. We've got Harold here. This is Harold. You can see his name there. And he meets with the Duke of Normandy. And you can see he's got his hand on a box, hasn't he? That's a sacred, a very spiritual box. It meant to have the bones of a saint in it. And here he's promising something to William. It doesn't say what he's promising in the Doomsday Book, but he's promising something to William. Two questions for you to answer. What do you think he's promising? And why have the Normans put this in the Bayeux Tapestry? What do you think he's promising? And why have the Normans put this in the Bayeux Tapestry? We don't know if this is real or not, but we know the Normans said it was. Why would they say that? Get ready in your group to tell me why. Why would the Normans say that this actually happened? We're going to teams of 9 again. Different teams, to get people working different teams this time. What do you think William wants us to believe that Howard was saying? He's saying this oath. What do you think he's meant to be saying? And why would the Normans put that in? Think like a historian. Why would the Normans want this to be in the document? Right at the start. What's it trying to say? Because the Normans wanted an excuse, they want a reason why they've done what they've done. There's an awful lot of people have died for them to become king. They want it to be for a good reason. Why do you think it's in there? Again, remember to be respectful of other people's ideas. If your ideas are someone else's, you can always move it around. Team 5, nothing just yet from team 5. Just a bit longer. Look at team 1, how we get on there. Emily, what team are you in?
Team 6.
Team 6. It might be my board which isn't showing it properly. Ah, there we are. Time to win the battle. Let me have a look. I will let you be king. I like that, yeah. He might be saying that. It's alright, you can be king.
Someone's put a line through it.
Well, I'll be taking a look. I will not attack you. I will attack. Might be a threat. See what team we're up to now. Let me be king. Time to win. So why is it there? Why have I put this in? What am I trying to tell people? Look, so far, I'll take revenge. This is at the start of it. You can't take revenge after he's dead, of course. Don't forget. Let's look at team 3. What have you got so far? I will not attack you. Make it become. So why, if you are right, if you put that William is Howard was saying, I'm not going to attack you, William. Why would the Normans put that in the tapestry? What we're trying to tell us that Howard has. What's Howard done if he's there? So those who are thinking that Howard is saying he's not going to attack, that's right. So why would we put that in? What we're trying to say about Howard? What are the Normans trying to say about Howard? Team 6. So think about that question. Make sure you're answering that question for me. Why? Will that be in there? Team 9. Yeah, showing as a coward perhaps? Possibly, yeah. What else is it showing? If he said it, if Howard said, it's alright, you can be king, and then he becomes king, what else is it saying about him? Okay, some interesting ideas coming on. No one's quite got quite the reason I'm looking at yet. Team 3, this is Parkin's team. Someone is moving some work around on that page. I will take a look. I'm going to delete that comment for now because it's not about history, but I will be taking a look at this activity. Let's try and all be respectful of each other. We're not fighting a battle. We'll stop in about a second or two. Let's see if we've got your ideas down. Everything's a historic time. I don't think I quite agree with that one. Okay, you don't need to write me personal messages. You just need to be more respectful for each other, please, instead. I don't need to see personal messages. So we don't see who you are. Okay. Let's go back a second. If Harold has made a promise that William can be king, then it's a good idea to put that in the Bayeux Tapestry, isn't it? Because it shows that, for the Normans, it shows that, well, they had to invade because Harold broke his promise. He was distrustworthy. William should have always been the king. God wanted to be the king. He swore it on some very sacred bones, did Harold. So, if Harold breaks his promise, God must want him to come and invade England. That's a pretty good reason, isn't it? And if you're the Normans, you would put that in, wouldn't you? It's awful big excuse, isn't it? That's what they're doing. They're putting their excuses in early. They're coming up with reasons behind their actions. Now that may have happened, it may have not happened, but if you're making your Bayeux Tapestry, you want it to show that you are the good guys, don't you? Yes?
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing. By putting that image of William being told by Harold, it's okay, you can be king. I'm not going to take Edward's throne when he dies. You can be king. Now, the English said that Harold came to see William and he was held prisoner, and he said that just to shut him up. So there's two sides to that story. Let's take a look at another one. This is in the Bayeux Tapestry, and I'd never seen it before. Hopefully coming up on our screens in just a second. Hopefully coming up on our screens in just a second. Hopefully coming up on our screens in just a second.
It's come on ours.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's come on yours. Right, you're lucky. There we are. This is the scene the day before Harold is made king by the English. Remember, it's been written by the Normans, but they're showing that Harold's about to be king. What on earth's that? What on earth is that? Don't you know what it is?
Yeah.
That's a comet. Specifically, it's Halley's Comet. And it only appears once every, well, about once a generation. You may even see it once or twice in your lifetime. And it appears the day before Harold becomes king. Remember, the Normans are putting this in. Why do you think they're putting that in? Because people didn't know about comets so much. What do they see it as? Who do you think sent that giant ball of flame into the sky? Who do they think would have sent it? Canaan. God. And what do you think what do you think the Normans are saying God is thinking about Howard becoming king?
That you shouldn't trust him.
Yeah. The Normans put this in. Halley's Comet was actually seen in 1066. And the Normans put it in there saying, proof, look, proof! God himself doesn't think Howard should be king. He sent a giant ball of star to warn everyone. What do you think the English thought it was?
There's a rocket.
What do you think God was saying when he put this giant ball of light in the sky? What do you think that meant to the English?
Like, did it mean they lost?
This was the day before he became king, don't forget.
That someone new is going to become king.
Yeah, the English thought, great, look, God, it's God. He's saying that we have got the right king. He sent a giant ball in the sky to show us that we've got the right king. To the Normans, it was a different sign. The Normans thought, this is a sign from God that we must invade, that he's broken his promise. That's why they put it in the Bayeux Tapestry. And look at what the people are doing in the picture.
They're pointing.
They're pointing, but what else are they doing?
They're looking.
Looking away.
Why are they looking away, Sienna?
Because they don't want to see it.
Right, yeah, look how they're looking away. When do you do that, sort of looking away? Caden.
It might blind them.
That's it, because it blinds them. What else does it want to show, Harry?
It's too bright.
Okay, so when else might you go like that? Wah!
When somebody scares you.
When someone scares you. They're scared. The Normans are showing, look how scared the English are, because they know God doesn't like them anymore. That's what they're trying to show. That's Haley's comet there for reference.
Whoa.
You might get to see it, you guys. Next time we'll see Haley's comet is about 2064. So in another 40 years you'll get to see it.
Oh.
Definitely something worth staying up for, I'll be honest. It should be amazing when it happens. Okay. The last little thing I want to show you is this.
Oh.
What is it?
Coin. Coin.
Thank you. Staff coin. Sam? 50 pence coin. Have you noticed the year? 2016. So 950 years after Battle of Hastings. Why has someone bothered to make a coin about that? Why bother making a coin about it? The British Mint spent a fortune making this coin.
To remember.
This date is still a significant date in our history. There's a reason I'm stood in front of a group of children and children all across the country. It's the reason why year 7 you will look Don't know if you heard any of that, me talking, waxing lyrical there. I think the battery's just died. So I'll just mention this again. 1066 was an incredibly important period in our history. It was the time we remember because everything changed. History for Britain completely changed on that date. The way we lived, the way we worked, the way we were ruled, the way we ate, and even the words we used changed on that date. And to finish with, let's have a quick quiz, see what you remember. Whilst I throw this remote this battery into the top. Okay. Shay's fault for doing such an engrossing lesson this morning. She's worn the battery out clearly. Sounds actually working. Okay, it's a few moments to finish off the quiz. We all finished in here?
Yeah.
Someone just not bothering to answer. Well, it seems to be having quite a few problems with this quiz. Let's end it now. See how well we've done. Winners are Carlton Crunchers. Look at our answers. Who fought the Battle of Hastings? It was William of Normandy and Howard Godwinson. Battle took place. Oh, after we told you it took place in battle, a number of people put Hastings. Weren't listening there, were we? Which animal was the horse who killed King Howard? So when we said we didn't know, obviously that's something you need to go back and listen to again, please. And where did Howard fight the Vikings? That was Stamford Bridge. Or the high ground be English? And who commissioned the Bayeux Tapestry? Some of those questions, it seemed we weren't listening as carefully as we need to do some of those, so you need to go back and go to the English Heritage website to find out more. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.
Bye.
When he would mention in the lesson quite clearly that we don't know if